setting out some goals for us. I'm Raja Rao, faculty coordinator for one of the incubators, that is Aspire Tide. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, our guest for the special talk on the occasion of the Foundation Day of Aspire. Dr. Chintan Vaishnav is the mission director for the Atal Innovation Mission, which, as we all know, is a flagship initiative of the Government of India under the auspices of Niti Aayog, tasked to establish and nurture an innovation ecosystem in the country. He is a socio-technologist, an engineer who combines complex technology and insights into complexity of society and human nature to design and build large-scale systems that possess the complexity of both, especially for development and to overcome constraints to development. Presently, Dr. Vaishnav is on leave from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology for his present assignment. He is a teacher, innovator, and an entrepreneur. Over the last decade, he has divided his time between teaching and research at MIT and living and working with rural communities in India to build solutions that can overcome constraints to improving human conditions. With this, I invite Dr. Chintan Vaishnav to give his special lecture. He'll be joining us online.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Am I coming across? Am I audible?
1 minute.
Yes, is that a yes? Yes. Okay, okay. All right, well, let me go on. Well, greetings, everybody. And first of all, my sincere gratitude to Dr. Rao and team for inviting me for this special occasion of the Foundation Day. It is a real privilege to share the dais with Dr. Chandrasekhar and other esteemed guests. And of course, it's a true joy to speak to young friends in the audience. First, let me just apologize for not being able to be there in person today. I teach a design thinking course on Saturdays, and incidentally, today from 12 to 2 is the final session of this course that I'm teaching. So it was necessary that I stay here. But over the next few minutes, what I want to do is to really take this opportunity and share with you, all the friends in the audience, some thoughts on where we stand as an ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem. Dr. Chandrasekhar spoke about it a little bit already to you. And I want to share this view from the vantage point that Atal Innovation Mission has given to me. And in doing so, I really want to recruit you in thinking along with me and many others in this innovation ecosystem about what is it that we want to do next. So, I mean, you know, as a teacher, and I also used to be a warden at MIT, and I always used to feel that time of young people is very important. So if one gets an opportunity to talk to them, one should recruit them in doing something together. So I'll try that today. Okay. Let's think together about this ecosystem idea, right? First of all, I mean, why ecosystem idea at this point? I think that is because if you look at the innovation scene in our country, you would see that young people are beginning to consider innovation and entrepreneurship as one of the possible ways of building their career, trying something out, solving problems, all of that. That's wonderful, right? That it is beginning to be an option. I mean, we have a long way to go, but at least we definitely have a good start. Now, you will also see that if you have an idea, at least in places like Hyderabad and so on, it's possible to take that idea forward, right? It's possible to take that idea into a prototype, into an early stage field trial, into a company, and then take it forward. And then that company, of course, depending on the situation, strength of the idea, the demand, all of that, the idea may or may not become a big idea, but you know that you can take it from 0 to 1, right? I mean, the 1 to 100 is dependent on many different parameters, but it's possible to get started. But the question is, so the innovation movement is on its way. The question is, what is our inflection point? And I think the inflection point is one of one where we go from what we have been doing, which is building infrastructure for innovation. These are the incubators, these are the tinkering labs, these are the various accelerators, all of that. That's a lot of it is a part of the infrastructure. And we begin to think about this idea of ecosystem, right? That's the inflection point. We have to go from infrastructure to ecosystem. Now that's an abstract idea, I understand. So let me make it a little more concrete. Let me ask you, when is it in your life that you have had experiences that you can say are because of a good ecosystem? When have you experienced an ecosystem? That's the question, right? So as an individual, all of us have experienced the ecosystem called the internet, right? We see this bonanza of apps that we can download on our phones and make our lives easier or more difficult, whatever it is. But there's bonanza of apps available. And that's because of the ecosystem. So what is the ecosystem there? I mean, if you're an engineer, you certainly understand this, that there is there are the protocols, and there's this whole internet stack underneath, where there are different actors building the equipment. Then there are different actors, even the standards body like IETF, etc., building protocols for these different machines to work together. There are the internet service providers. There are other sort of layers of services, etc. So when you want to build an app, your life is very easy because all of these components and their compatibility and interconnections and all of that has already been worked out by the larger internet community. And because of that, we all enjoy this burgeoning creativity on top of this architecture in the form of apps. And so we've all benefited from what is an ecosystem, right? If you're building an app, you didn't build the rest of the ecosystem. It existed. And so your life became easier. So that's an ecosystem argument. Think about a city. Think about a city like Hyderabad. How does it experience the ecosystem in day-to-day life? One way to think about it is that you see one of the challenges of and this is not me saying, this is my friends in Hyderabad have shared with me, but one of the challenge if you are building the innovation ecosystem in Hyderabad is that you see this from Hyderabad's perspective, an unfortunate trend that startups who begin to grow and become gain a certain level of vibrancy, they have this internal urge that I have to go to Bangalore, or I'll have to go to Gurgaon, or I will have to go abroad if I really want to become big, right? So that urge arises. What is that urge? I mean, like, why would you go to Bangalore or Gurgaon, right? Like, why can't you do your stuff in Hyderabad? Or why would you go abroad? Like you see that in healthcare startups already, that beyond a certain point, they want to go abroad. And that's an ecosystem argument, right? You have, your hypothesis is that there's something in that ecosystem somewhere else that will make your life easier, that will make your achieving your dreams easier. Right? What that is, you may or may not be able to articulate, but you have this sense from your friends. They tell you that, you know, you should go here, you should go there, whatever. So that's an ecosystem experience for a city, right? There's other ways ecosystems are experienced by a city. For instance, you think about migration. Why do people migrate from rural areas to urban areas? Well, one large chunk of people are migrating only because of distress migration. If my basic needs, my food, my water, my shelter, my safety, my livelihood is not met, then I will have to go somewhere where I can meet them more easily. So you could go to a city and you know, there'll be more opportunity and all that. Why is there more opportunity there? So it's an ecosystem argument, right? But you can also be aspirational. I mean, you would see a lot of people, because of their aspirations, they have moved from rural area to urban areas, and they have better opportunities and all that. And that whole hypothesis is an ecosystem hypothesis, right? Now, so what is this ecosystem? So and in very simple terms, it is basically the presence of these actors who are necessary for achieving your dream, and their interconnections or the activities that they perform in between them. That sort of actors and their activities is what defines that ecosystem, right? So for an innovation ecosystem, this may have to do with, you know, are there other innovators like you whom you could talk to? Are there mentors and experts you could talk to? Are there incubators that you could be based at? Is there money available from investors and the government and so on? Is there a real market where you want to go? And all of these pieces form, these are the different actors, right? And then the activities between them forms that ecosystem. Now when do you know that ecosystem A is better than ecosystem B? So one way to think about that is that if your life in taking an idea to an enterprise, if it is easier in ecosystem A versus ecosystem B, then ecosystem A is stronger, right? So for an idea to become enterprise, that journey has less friction in a better ecosystem and has more friction in a weaker ecosystem. Now, how do you define that friction? You can define it as the number of transactions, number of people you have to meet, how likely you are to get your desired funding, all of those things, and how much effort it will take to get your desired funding. All of that is a measure of friction, right, in that ecosystem. So that reducing that friction is the journey we are on. When we say that when I said that the inflection point is to go from infrastructure to ecosystem, the idea is that can we begin to lower the friction in this ecosystem for an idea to become an enterprise. In other words, I could say that when these actors, the presence of these actors and their interconnections and activities become these interdependencies, become dependable, you are building a stronger ecosystem. Okay, now you might ask, why am I saying all these to you? So let me come to that in a second. But before that, let me, I used two words before, right? I said infrastructure to ecosystem. So let me say about a little bit about infrastructure. Dr. Chandrasekhar already spoke to the work of DST, and let me say a couple of other pieces just for indicative purposes from the Atal Innovation Mission's infrastructure that it has been building. Right, one set of infrastructure for our youngest people is the Atal Tinkering Labs. These are maker spaces in schools, and they are for 6th to 12th grade students, where they can take their idea into an artifact. These maker spaces have 3D printers and vinyl cutters and soldering stations to make electronics, hand tools, mechanical tools. They have all these projection mechanism with screens and projectors and all that. They have computers, printers. They have these little components like resistors, capacitors, sensors, actuators, whatever. So you can make stuff with it. Of course, the idea of tinkering or idea of making is not at all limited or shackled by just this format, right? It is the idea is to recruit anything from household material to the most sophisticated material and technique. And today, in the world of the internet, that's also easier to do. To express what is it that is in your head into an artifact. This is what these maker spaces are allow. So this is the infrastructure, right? This is about 1,500 square feet or 1,000 square feet if you're in a hilly area of a lab, and there are 10,000 of them all across the country, including regions like Ladakh, tribal states like Chhattisgarh, all the way in the northeast like Arunachal Pradesh, all the way down south. Hyderabad also has many. There's 10 of them in Andaman and Nicobar Islands and so on. So this is one piece of infrastructure that has been built. I'll come back to it in a second. The second piece of infrastructure are these incubation centers. So these are classic incubation centers, right? Like colleges have some, but some of the most exciting ones are actually not in colleges. For example, we have incubators in, say, a Coffee Board of India or Dairy Board of India. I mean, National Dairy Development Board, or we have one with, for example, Codicia. Let me say that's closer to you. Codicia is the Coimbatore Small Scale Industries Association, and this incubator started a year and a half ago and has produced 127 technologies for defense. They are solely focused on defense. Very fascinating experiments these are, right? I mean, in each case, there is an idea going to an enterprise, right? And so all of these infrastructures getting built, but the question is, what is happening at the ecosystem level, right? So let's think about these tinkering labs I mentioned earlier. In tinkering labs, there are some very fascinating trends that are happening that we would have had a hard time imagining. For example, in several tinkering labs, students have come together to start something called Tinker Champs program, where they have put together a certification program for other peers, their peers, to learn tinkering and go up a ladder. It's like a, blue belt, black belt type of a thing. These are students putting this material together, this certification program together, and they're talking to each other. And the most fascinating thing that I saw with this Tinker Champs clubs is that there are several of them now, where students teach technology classes to teachers. Think about that for a second. Students teach technology classes to their teachers. So this is all ecosystem idea, right? Let me share with you one very interesting, important principle from systems. See, in systems, there's always a thought of what can you do alone by yourself? What can you do as a pair, that is 2 people together? And what can you do as N people, that is more than 2? A group of people. And I think this N people idea is what this Tinker Champs Club is, right? This is an ecosystem stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that we have to now do more of it. Okay, so now let me come to why am I lecturing you? Hope I'm not boring you about this. But I think what we have to do is that if you are an innovator, or if you are, and I believe every one of you is, so if you have an innovative bent of mind and you want to solve some exciting problems and also earn a lot of money, why not? Then my sort of request to you would be to do your bit in building that ecosystem around you, wherever you are, whether you are rural, you are sort of suburban or peri-urban or urban, doesn't really matter. But do your bit in building that ecosystem. In other words, whoever are the actors around you, bring them together. I think we will go to that next level of sort of vibrancy and productivity when each of us, each of these incubation centers, at whichever level you take it, individual level, institutional level, whichever level you want to take it, we are going to be much stronger collectively, and we are seeing that in places where it's happening. I gave you an example of Codicia. What is the background of something like Codicia? Codicia came out because and the cohesion and the strength of their work is because of the foundation that somebody like G.D. Naidu, a major industrialist, laid in that place, right? How has Hyderabad come about? Because several people, I will not name anybody in particular because I would have left out many others. Several people have worked hard to bring this place together. So at your scale, whatever your scale is, bring people together in building these ecosystem, those essential actors, make them talk and take them to that next level. That's the one message that I'd like to share with you. Once again, I am extremely delighted to be with you. I am sad that I'm not there in person, but hopefully in the future, there will be an opportunity for me to come by and, as they say, hang out with you. Thank you very much.
I'm